Hey there, welcome back. This is Ruby Cough Drop, and I am just a regular gal who loves makeup and makeup content. In my last video, I made passing reference to the fact that I don't have a beauty budget. And so that got me to thinking that I probably need one. I have never really kept and stuck to a budget, and it is way past time that I actually did that. I have made sort of vague gestures towards budgeting in the past, but I've just either not had the structure or really the income to do it properly. I'm just kind of sick of just that feeling of totally being out of control and being paycheck to paycheck, being in debt to people, not having money when certain things arise. Like for the floods in Western North Carolina, I gave someone I know a little bit of money, but I would have liked to be in a position to give more, and just things like that. I just feel like my bank balance is just like a big looming question mark at all times, and a lot of times in those situations I'll end up, making a small discretionary purchase because I'm like already like bummed out about the state of my finances, and I'm like, I'm already broke. So what's like a $6 Revlon Super Lustrous lipstick thrown into my grocery cart gonna do? Like, what harm is that gonna do? But I think that it's time to get a little more intentional and a little more granular about where my money is actually going and how much I'm spending on beauty. I don't really know. I don't have a total for you right now. And it's not anything exorbitant, but I know that it's something that I would like to just have a lot more cognizance of and keep within certain strictures. So I don't want to make little small kind of mindless purchases here and there to just alleviate stress or out of a sense of urgency or drive. So I think those of us who really love beauty products and do consume a lot of content, as much as I enjoy beauty content, I mean, ultimately it is just advertising, even if it's, not produced with the aim of being so. It's still putting products in your face, and, over time you just become suggestible. And so yeah, that leads me to another part, is the other thing in terms of not just budgeting my money, but budgeting my time. But yeah, I tend to fall into these rabbit holes of just compulsively watching beauty content. I mean, like, I'm talking like, hours out of the day. And I think that a lot of people can relate. And, it's great, it's fun. But sometimes I do it to the detriment of other things that I would like to be working on, and that I think might ultimately, produce more satisfaction. So not just consuming beauty content, but just being in kind of shopping mode, like thinking about products, obsessing about them, looking online, comparing, contrasting, just getting in that kind of hunter mode, which is really kind of addictive, and I think I can use as escapism, or just as something that's easier to do than maybe something that requires a little bit more frontal lobe activity and more concerted effort. Like, for a while I was taking voice lessons, which is very expensive, and that's another thing I'd like to be able to budget in, voice lessons. But I was also using this sight singing app, which was really awesome, and learning like solfege, where you assign a tone to a syllable, like do, re, mi, fa, so. And that requires ongoing regular practice. And in my free time, it's like, okay, can I do the thing that's going to be like a little more effortful, but is going to be like teaching me a skill that I really want to learn? Or am I going to just like, zone out on just watching lipstick swatches? And there's nothing wrong with consuming beauty content. I think it's great, but it's just more of a matter of like budgeting my time. And I've always just kind of resisted that, partly because I think I have ADHD, I have hyperfocus issues, I have kind of time blindness, and I've also just been kind of rebellious. Like, I don't like the idea of structure and discipline, even though I know how important it is and I see the benefits, I see the harm of not having that. But there's just something, you know, when I impose it on myself, I just start to feel kind of this pressure. But so trying to figure that out and like just figure out the happy medium between being able to feel spontaneous with what I do but also being able to be intentional and mindful of what I'm doing. I don't have any really specific numbers in mind for a budget yet. I'm still trying to kind of wrap my head around the whole thing. And also I'm kind of in a holding pattern because I have a dental exam coming up and I know I need some like serious expensive dental work, which is very scary to think about. But, you know, until I get that treatment plan and kind of have a sense of like what I'm going to be on the hook for with that, it's kind of hard to plan everything else. Like realistically, I probably shouldn't spend any money on like anything frivolous, but I mean, that ain't me, baby. Like I'm gonna have, like, if I'm gonna sit in a fucking dentist chair and have my mouth worked on with like metal implements, like I'm gonna get myself a little treat later. And yeah, maybe the treat is like not losing my teeth, but you know, I'm gonna give myself a little treat or two. It's just a matter of balancing my love for cosmetics and fragrances and things of that nature with just other priorities. And I also don't want to be someone who, not that I have like influence at all, but I don't want to be someone who is just kind of pushing products or just kind of blindly endorsing products and, I don't know, not commenting on that, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's like none of these brands are our friends, you know what I mean? And especially, I don't know, with certain brands, people talk about them as if they have like a personal relationship with them. And I understand, like, when you have products that you really love, like, you do get a sense, you get a feeling of like, those guys, you know? I think that's just kind of the way our brains work. But it's like, at the end of the day, these companies are not our friends, and it's fine, you know, it's fine to spend money on them, but also it's just like, just only so much, I guess, tribute that I want to give them, if that makes sense. And I've also always had kind of, and some of it's like my own weird hang-ups about materialism, like the way I was raised. My mom was very anti-materialist, like she just didn't like having stuff, and she didn't really see the value in having a lot of stuff, and also kind of turned it into like a moral thing, like it's somehow bad. And I think part of that was just, you know, coping because you're poor and it's easier. And also just, if you're not interested, if you don't get the same pleasure and zing and like dopamine hit from like stuff, then it doesn't make sense to you why other people do. And also, you know, there was like kind of a Christian element to it. Like I was raised like quasi-Christian. I went to a private Christian school from 1st to 5th grade. And for some reason, just the materialism thing was something that always just really stuck with me from out of like all those teachings. That was one of the big ones, was just like, you know, it's bad to like want stuff and hoard and covet stuff and like care about like brand names and things like that. So I have the tension between that, and then my dad was like totally a crap hound. He was more in like the collector mode, and it would be just really impractical sometimes. Like for a while it was fish, like living fish, and for a while he was really interested in the German Luftwaffe, and he would like build model airplane kits of the German Luftwaffe. And that was like kind of when the internet was in its nascency, which is a good thing probably. So he didn't have like a ton of, you know, like finding these different particular planes would be, you know, kind of this treasure hunt, and, you know, looking in shops and looking in hobbyist magazines or whatever. But I can recognize similar kind of tendencies in myself, like just that kind of hyper focus and this feeling like whatever he was fixated on in the moment, whether it be a species of fish or a particular model of German fighter jet, it was just like, or maybe not jet is not the right word, but fighter plane, he would like, it's like I need that, and I'm not gonna feel like that sense of rest until I have it. And I've done that with like most recently, I got it in my head, like, I want like a black cherry lipstick or some lip product. Like, I don't have that shade, even though I have like probably 50 other lip products. And it's just like it's just this like feeling that rankles me. Like, I can almost feel it physically in my brain. Like I'm not gonna be, I'm not gonna get that, like, that something locking into place when you decide that you need this particular thing and you're seeking it out, and then when you get it, you briefly, for like a split second, get this just like everything's complete now, which it's not, and you almost immediately lose that feeling. But I think stopping and noticing when I'm in that mode, when I'm in that really like driven, like I need to get X, like I need this butter gloss. The next time I get paid, like my first thing I'm gonna do is get that. I think that is when I most need to just be like, let's wait, because honestly, it's like drinking, like times in my life when I have abstained from alcohol, and there will be like a trigger, whatever that might be. Like, for example, nightfall, especially in the wintertime, whenever it gets dark, it's like, oh, okay, time to drink, I want to drink. And then if I'm consciously like in a phase where I'm not drinking, I'll be like, ugh. But the thing is, like, you can wait it out and it passes. At least for me, fortunately, I know people, that's a whole other conversation, and people have, that's a very, very strong drive for some people. But I can wait it out. But I recognize a similar feeling of like, I can probably wait out this urgency I feel to have like a black cherry gloss. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to get one, but I don't want to get one out of a sense of like panic. So I guess the whole point of the waffle is just because I think it's worthwhile to talk about these things, and I think a lot of people can relate, and also to kind of point a direction for videos I make. Like, I think it would be valuable for me to share some of my stuff about what I come up with in terms of a beauty budget, and also kind of a fun game, like what did I decide to use my little allotment for, because I just don't like to be black or white. Like, I'm not saying nobody can be great, but I am not there right now. I don't want to do that. And I know I would be setting myself up for failure. So I think just putting some bumpers on myself is kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, I will keep you posted with sort of what I come up with. And I hope that you all are continuing to thrive despite any external circumstances. I love you all, and please do something to take care of yourself this weekend.